Well, it is that time again to meet another member of the WBIR team. And I like to say this gentleman is part of the OG, the old guard of WBIR, Paul Brown. He is our senior story desk editor, but in my mind, he'll always be an assignment editor, a photographer, an editor, a writer. You name it, you do it all, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, the senior story desk editor is kind of a new title. A few months back, we combined our assignment desk and our digital desk, and I still handle the logistics side of everything with keeping up with photographers and keeping up with the editors and doing scheduling and any logistics, any live shot tuning, any live shot technical tweaking or anything like that. I usually handle that. And it's just a little bit of everything. Like your list of stuff for me was pretty much, that's a lot of jobs in the newsroom, and most of them are off camera, which is good. I've spent almost 40 years in the business trying to stay behind the camera, and here I am.
Here you are,
right in front,
but we wanted to get you,
yeah.
as you enter, continue this career. We need you in front of the camera to tell us what you do. And okay, so you make it sound like, oh yeah, it is. You're the master. You're the jack of all trades, master of all.
I wouldn't go that far, but it is a lot of fire putting out a lot of fires. Hey, I need this done, or hey, this needs to be done, and I'll either do it or find somebody who can do it. I was editing shows yesterday because we had big breaking news up in Cott County, and so most of our photographers who will handle editing shows, they were out in the field, so it falls back on me to edit shows, which is fine. I like it. It's enjoyable. Everything I do is enjoyable, so that's why I've stuck with it so long.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Journalism, you've been in this industry, you said, almost 40 years. What drew you to this crazy world that we love?
It originally was a paycheck. I wanted to be an actor. I did high school theater. I did community theater. Wanted to be an actor. Didn't think I was good enough to make it as an actor. So I thought, well, I could fall back on broadcasting because there's a lot of crossover there. And I actually took the production and performance track at ETSU, which was more like working in a studio, working with audio in a studio, studio cameras, doing voiceover work, that sort of thing. It wasn't the journalism part of it. Mm-hmm. But I was working as a production assistant at WCYB in the Tri-Cities.
Because you're from the
I'm from the Tri-Cities, born and raised, and was working as a PA there. But I was the only PA at night who knew how to run a field camera. So the news department would come over and say, "Hey, can you go shoot this fire? Can you go shoot this crash?" And I'm going out and doing that. And I had grown up with scanners. We'd had scanners, police scanners, in our family since I was 6, 7 years old. Mm-hmm. My grandparents had a portable scanner on their headboard. They would listen to stuff going on at night. My dad was in the life-saving crew. My mother was in the life-saving crew in Bristol for many years. And so it was kind of a natural thing for me to be on the scene because we'd be out, Dad would hear a call, we'd go to the call, and
you got it early.
Yeah, I did get it early.
So
I got that bug early.
Yeah.
But most of my journalism training has been on the job, and I've been fortunate to work, with very talented people, with like you said, old OG.
Yeah.
Journalists, and that's where most of my training came was on the job. So
when you and I first started working together, you were a photographer here at WBIR. Let's talk about that chapter. Is there a story that you did as a photographer that will always be the number one experience as a journalist?
This was in the Tri-Cities, actually, and you'll probably remember this because you worked there too. Mm-hmm. But in 1989, this was the first year I was actually working as a photographer because I did a year as a PA. There was a fire at the John Sevier. It was an apartment building for older folks. Mm-hmm. It was a Section 8 apartment building. And there was a fire, and it was on Christmas Eve, and there were 16 people who died in that fire. And I spent maybe 2 hours with my family that Christmas because I was working there. There was a lot of work. But that story not that story, but that event and the subsequent coverage and the subsequent questions that were asked by the media. I know that WBIR actually traveled to the Tri-Cities to cover that because that was a big deal. But the questions that were asked by the media after that, asked of legislators, why did this happen? Because there were several things wrong with the building, sprinklers, smoke detectors, ventilation systems, and stuff like that. Laws were changed in the state, and I think that story still sticks with me. Mm-hmm. And it also, I had a woman come up to me while I was covering the fire, and she said, are you okay? I had gone in to get a cup of coffee. They had a relief station there for first responders, and I just walked in to get a cup of coffee. And she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, it's okay. Yes, I'm with Channel 5. I'm just a photographer." And she goes, "No, I mean, this affects you too." And she told me, she said, "Make sure over the next few days you get some time alone by yourself to clear your head." And I have always taken that to heart, that sometimes you just have to step out of the room and clear your head, because there's a lot of heavy stuff we deal with. Oh. A lot of great stuff we deal with, but again, there's a lot of heavy stuff too.
So what do you do to clear your head?
To clear my head, well, I tell people my therapy is to get under the hood of a car. So I've got to change spark plugs on a car this weekend. So that's going to be my little. I'll have my therapy session this weekend, provided it doesn't rain. But yeah, I mean that's what I do. I listen to books, listen to books on tape a lot. Just basically relax, and then spend time with my family.
I was going to say your family's very important to you.
Yes, they are. My wife, Stephanie, I've known her for 40 years. Life took us in different directions, and then we reconnected. I was divorced, she was widowed, and we have been married 9 years this February, but we've known each other forever. She's my best friend, and together we have 5 kids. They're all adult. Which
is nice.
It's nice, but they still need money, and we still see them. We see them when they're around. They're working, they have their own lives, but we still get to see them quite a bit. So,
you've been in this industry, as we've stated, a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it change tremendously. How and I think this is something you and I can relate to. When we started, it was just a different era.
It was, yeah.
And now it is rapid speed, instantaneous. How have you been able to navigate the changes?
Kicking and screaming probably would be the best way. There's a lot. I feel like we have gained so much more information that we didn't have. A lot of times it took you 3 days to get information. Sometimes now it's instantaneous. Back in the day, they used to they would call it bicycling, because they literally would use bicycles in cities where you had a larger city, or they would use bicycles. But we would send tape if we had something big in the Tri-Cities. We would send tape on a bus to Knoxville, because Knoxville actually had the satellite uplink to send it to network.
Right.
So we would do that. We would send. That's how you used to send. And the technology has changed so fast. Now it's a file transfer. Basically, I'll basically just export a file and transfer it to another station. That's how we do it. And things are so much faster and so much easier. You lose some of the quality. The cameras have certainly gotten smaller. Mm-hmm. When I started, the cameras were, in 2 pieces. You had a separate camera and a separate recorder and a big cable connecting the two.
Oh, I remember them very well.
And then it went to a camcorder, but they were still, 25, 30 pounds of gear on your shoulders and everything. Now it's a 3-pound camera, but you lose some of the quality. You lose, these cameras don't have a nice lens like our old cameras used to have. So getting in real close on certain things is hard. It affects their shooting style. You have to change your shooting style. Vertical video, I think, is I'm not a big fan of vertical video, but that's everybody watches on their phone, so it's something that it's something that you do. But there's something nice about a nice wide shot that shows a vista or something like that when you're shooting video. So
yeah, because that's how we view.
That's how we visually,
with our eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I want to get to know Paul a little more so. I feel like I know you well, but what's your favorite meal? We're getting into the hard questions
you asked
now.
Me my favorite food in the pre-interview, but
Yeah. Okay,
my favorite
food or
my
meal,
favorite
whatever.
food is probably peanut butter. Sorry,
Paul
I can
Brown.
I can eat it like pudding. I mean, on a spoon. I mean, it's to my wife's chagrin. I don't think you're eating peanut butter out of the jar. But yes, peanut butter.
Okay. What are you watching? Favorite show on you're watching on TV? You're binging with your wife.
Disjointed on Netflix is good. Ghosts on the Ghost show, the American show. The American show is actually funnier because it's a little faster paced than the UK show. That's pretty much it. We do watch a lot of comedies. So we both have grown. She's a nurse, and we both grown up in businesses that you see the worst in life, and so when you have to unplug, it's usually a comedy that we're watching. So
beach or mountains?
I'm living in the mountains, so beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What makes this place special? WBIR.
The people. October I'll be here 30 years. And I tell new candidates this, job candidates, I say, this kind of place, I've never gotten up and not wanted to come to work, which says a lot. Now I've gotten to work some days and want to go home, but that's an entirely different thing. It's just a fun place to work. I make the joke that we take news seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously, which I think resonates with viewers. I think viewers like to see people who feel. I think viewers like to see people who are impacted by the stories they're telling. And I think that's what we've been fortunate enough to do for the past 30 years that I've been here, is to hire those people, and the people who don't fit that model, they tend to want to move somewhere else because we do have a little bit slower pace. We'll rush when there's breaking news and stuff, but we do have a slower pace here and a more comfortable pace. We are very cordial with each other in the newsroom. There's a lot of laughing in the newsroom. You get in here at about 3:30 in the afternoon when both shifts are on, and it's so loud sometimes you can't work from just the cutting up and the laughter. So it's just a fun place to work.
It's not like it's often playing out on TV that it's a cutthroat. I mean, I'm sure there are places like that, but this place, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
That there is a camaraderie, and there's this. We're all a team, and we're going to do our best every day to deliver on providing the news in East Tennessee. But we're going to do it with heart.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Right. Paul, I'm glad we got to have this time together.
I'm glad I got to relax.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to say this is over and you've got to go back to work.
I know.
Good luck.
So, thanks.